Hi everyone, and welcome to the Stitch Sessions. Hope you're all doing well today. We have another little quick Christmas crochet tutorial for you. Many of you saw recently my Christmas cardigan project. We created that in about 4 parts, and then during the Christmas crochet tour, I showed you how I used a lot of appliques to embellish that cardigan. Now, one of them was this sweet little Christmas tree applique. It's kind of like a little Christmas pine tree, and it doesn't have to be for Christmas, but it looks very Christmassy. You can add some embellishments onto this if you want, but it's super simple, just done creating single crochet stitches worked into the back loops only, and we use a little increase in the center to create our point. Now there's a lot of different versions of how to create this kind of tree applique, and I just thought you might be interested in seeing how I work mine. I also have another tree applique that's done using the granny method from the center out that you probably saw in that Christmas crochet tour as well. And I'll leave a link for that as well in the description box down below. So you'll have 2 options for Christmas tree appliques. These are great to add on to anything. I used it on my cardigan. You can put them on scarves, hats for kids, which I really like to do. I think it makes a lot of fun. Blankets, bags. I mean, the possibilities are endless. So this is going to be super quick. You might even like to add this, actually, I was just thinking about add it as a gift topper onto any of your gifts as a little embellishment. So you see, so many things you can do with this applique. It's cute and it's quick, so let's get going. Okay, so for the yarn, I have been using this green color here, and in fact, the one on the cardigan I used was the Soft and Shiny yarn by Loops and Threads. And the color here is called Parsley. The only thing is sometimes it's hard to see on camera. So I'm going to use a lighter color yarn for the tutorial, but I just thought I'd let you know in case you're curious about the yarn and the shade that I used. And it's a medium 4-weight yarn. It calls for a 5.5 millimeter hook. This is also a Loops and Threads yarn, and it's actually the last bit of yarn I have left over from that candy stripe pillow. Remember our last pillow installment? And it's called Sparkling. It's also a medium 4-weight yarn, 5.5 millimeter hook, but you know I always like to deviate a little bit. The hook size I'm using for this is a 6 millimeter hook, which is a J or a size 10. I just like going up a hook size once in a while just to kind of keep the stitches nice and relaxed. And by the way, if you have not seen that candy stripe pillow, I'll leave a link for that in the description box down below. That's also, you know, fairly quick to work up. You can probably do it in a couple of days if you find it interesting for your holiday decor. As always, make sure that you have a pair of scissors and a yarn needle to sew in your ends at the end, and perhaps even sew your applique to the item that you're looking to do that with. All right, guys, are you ready for this fun little applique project? Let's do it. Okay, so we're going to begin by placing a slip knot on our hook. And we're going to start by chaining 10. Once you have your 10 chains, what you're going to do is you are going to find the second chain from the hook. Notice I did not chain very tightly. And you're going to place a single crochet into that chain. Now, I am actually going to turn my chain over, and I'm going to work into these back bumps here. So I'm just going to pick up that bump there and single crochet. And I'm going to place 1 single crochet into each of these stitches. And if you find these back bumps a little tricky to work with, you're absolutely more than welcome to going directly into the front of the stitch. There's no problem at all. I just like how this leaves a nice little finished edge there, just like that. Okay, so you're going to do that to the end of your chain. Okay, so once you've completed row number 1, you're going to have 9 stitches. So we're going to go on to row number 2. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we are going to work into the back loops only from now on of our stitches. So normally we would go into that full stitch there. See the V? If you were to work into the front loop, that's the loop that's closest to you. If you're working into the back loop, it's the loop that's furthest away from you. So that's what we're going to work into. So what you're going to do here is you're going to go right away into that very first stitch, and you're going to work into the back loops, or into the back loop, I should say, and single crochet. And you're going to do that for the first 4 stitches. So we have 2, we have 3, and we have 4. Now into the 5th stitch, we are going to work an increase. So for this one, I am going to work into the full stitch actually. So I'm going to go into the full stitch there, just like that. And I'm going to place a single crochet, and I'm going to do a chain 1. And then I'm going to go back into the same stitch and single crochet. So it's an increase with a little bit of a chain space there. Just creates a little bit of extra room there. Okay, and then I should have 4 stitches left, and then I'm just going to go back into the back loops, and then I'm going to single crochet as I did before. So, and there is the last one here, and I'm going to single crochet. So now at the end of row number 2, I will now have 10 stitches because we added an extra stitch here. We're not really going to count that chain 1. That's just there to help us create that shaping. And you can see already, look at that. See how it's already come to a bend? That is what we want. Okay, so row 2 is complete. We're now going to move on to row number 3. Okay, so I just put a blue background here just so you could see this a little bit better with the contrast. So we're going on to row number 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and now we're going to single crochet into the back loops only again until we get to this chain 1 space here. So we're just going to find the first stitch, which is right there. Sometimes I like to turn it a little bit on the side here, and I'm going to single crochet into each back loop until I get to that corner there. Okay, and now I'm in my 5th stitch, and this is where that chain 1 is. So I've got the 2 stitches here and the chain 1 space. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that chain 1 space right there. Might be tricky to see. Some people actually use a chain 2, which I might revert to actually. Depends on my mood. Sometimes I use a chain 1, sometimes I use a chain 2. Okay, and there's 1 single crochet. And now I'm going to chain 2 actually, 1 and 2, just to give us a little bit more visual space to work into. And then I'm going to go back into that same space and single crochet. Okay, there you go. Now you can see that point is very prominent. And then I'm going to continue going down the other side, except I will not work into the last stitch. So I'm going to continue going into the back loops, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so I'm not going to go into this last stitch here. Then I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn my work, and we're going to go on to row number 4. Okay, so we're going on to row number 4, and I know you might be thinking, wow, what's happening there? It's a little bit lopsided. But this short changing of a stitch is what creates that little ridged edge. So if I bring back my first one here, that's what gives this little ridgy effect here, is by short changing a couple of stitches at the end of each row. So do not fret, there is a method here. So we're going to continue again now, working our way back up, single crochets into the back loops only, right there. And then in the chain 2 space, you're going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Okay, so I've just worked to my corner here, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And then I have those 5 stitches coming down. So I'm going to do the same thing I did in the previous row. I'm going to end 1 stitch short. So I'm just going to go into these back loops here and single crochet 1, there's 2, 3, 4, and there's 1 more stitch there. I'm not going to work into it. So row number 4 is now complete. So in row 3, you shortchanged 1 at the end. In row 4, you shortchanged 1 at the end. So it's always at the end that we're shortchanging a stitch right now. So you start off by shortchanging 1 stitch. Now we're going to go on to a row number 5. And I'm going to show you how we're going to shortchange again. So chain 1, turn your work. You're going to work into the very first stitch. And you're going to work as usual, working single crochets into the back loops. You're going to go up to the corner, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. And then you're going to come back down and we are going to shortchange 2 stitches this time. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then I'm going to meet up with you just at the very end of this row. Okay, so I'm at the end of row number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yep. And by the way, in case you're wondering, I now have 7 stitches on this side, and I now have 4 stitches that I've completed on this side. So you will no longer have the same number of stitches on each side, because every time we shortchange, you have an odd number, and that's what gives us the effect. So don't worry too much about the stitch count in this project. Just make sure that it's looking like the object we're trying to make, which is a little pine tree applique. So I've got 2 stitches left here, so I am not going to work into those. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. And I'm going to follow this same method. So now I've got 3 stitches coming up the way here. So I'm just going to go into, let me just turn that here, into that very first stitch, into the back loops only. So pretty much we're just using our single crochet stitch, of course, and we're using those back loops to our advantage. Oops, sorry, I think I said I had 3 stitches, I have 4 stitches right there. I'm working into the chain 2 space, right there. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet into the same spot. So now you can see, hopefully, that we're creating these pretty little ridges here. And so now we're going to come down this side and we are going to shortchange 2 stitches as well. So I'm going to continue on down the way and I'm going to leave 2 stitches behind, chain 1 and turn, and then I'll meet up with you to begin the next row. Okay, so we're ready to go on to a row number 7. So I've shortchanged 2 stitches there. So we're going to chain 1 and turn and do the same thing, single crochet all the way up to the corner there. And at the end of this row, we are going to shortchange only 1 stitch here. Okay, so these are the last 2 stitches. So I am going to single crochet into this stitch. So I've got 1 stitch left now. And now we're going to turn our work. So it just kind of helps it even out just a wee bit. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. And now we're going on to row number 8, I believe. So again, the same thing at the beginning. We always just go right away into that first stitch. back loops only, and single crochet our way up to the corner. And in the corner, we place our single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Okay, we're going to work our way down. Don't forget to work into that very first stitch coming out of the corner. It's easy to miss. So on this side, what we're going to do is we're going to short change 3 stitches. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. That means I'm going to work into 1 more. And now I'm going to turn my work here. So see, now it's looking just a little bit more even when we place it down. Just like that. Okay, so we're going to do just a couple more rows. So this is like, so in my hand, it looks like that. I like to make mine a little bit taller, just like that. So we are going to create a couple more rows. So I believe this is row number 9. So you're going to chain 1, especially if you want to start tapering off here. So that's why I shorted 3 stitches. So now again, we're going to go all the way up. The first side is always just 1 stitch into each. Okay, and then you work your corner here. Chain 2, corner. And now on this side, we're going to short change 3 stitches. So we start to increase the number of shorted stitches, and that just gives us a nicer point at the top there. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, and yep, I'm pretty happy with that. So we are just about there. I'm going to do 1 more row. Okay, so you're going to chain 1 and turn. I believe this is row number 10. I've kind of lost count. So we have these stitches here we're going to work into right at the beginning. So back loops only. This part is super easy to you now because you've done it a million times. Well, quite not a million, but you know what I mean. I'm a little bit dramatic, I know that. So we have the last stitch here. Now we're going to work into the corner here, corner space. Single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet. Okay, and now we're going to go down this side here, and we are going to short again 3 stitches. So there's 2, 1, 2, 3, and I've got 1 more. And that's it. So now they look a little bit more even on the top. When you set that down, there is your Christmas tree applique. Now, obviously, if you look closely at it, you can see where the rows are shorted. But the idea, and it works nicer with darker yarn, I think, is that you're trying to just create these cute little jagged edges. But it just creates a really pretty, isn't that pretty? And it's really, really quick. So what you can do, if you want to actually make this as an actual ornament, I would just chain 1 and slip stitch my way up to the top here. So I'm just going to do this as an example. So slip stitch until I get back to the corner. And then go in there and slip stitch. And then I would do, I don't know, 10 chains, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I would go back in here and I would slip stitch to join. And now you've got a hanger, just like that. Isn't that cute? And that's as easy as it is. Now I actually am going to use mine as an applique, so I'm not going to keep this little hanger there, but I just wanted to show you how easy it was. The other thing you can do, I just had a thought, is you can take a contrasting yarn, like I would maybe bring the green, and then maybe go around and do a slip stitch border, and that will really accentuate the shape of your applique. Isn't it fun? So many ideas you can do with this applique, and all you need to know are single crochet stitches and know how to work into the front and the back loops. So I'm just gonna zoom in there so you can kind of see it a little bit more closely. So there's that one in the cream, and then of course we have the green here that just shows up really, really pretty. Now this yarn, even though it's a medium 4 weight, you can see it kind of comes out a little bit more lacy. I find it actually slightly thinner in girth. This is definitely what I would call a true medium 4 weight yarn. And it's the Bernat Premium, I believe. And it just has a little bit more thickness to it. And that's why it's not as lacy looking as this one. But on camera, I knew that that was going to be hard to see. So there you have it. Now, if you have any questions, just leave them for me in the comment box down below. I think this one's pretty straightforward. You really can't mess it up because this is up to your personal interpretation, right? So, but you never know if there's anything maybe that you feel I missed. Just let me know in the comment box down below. You can also, as always, email me directly at info@crochetcrafty.com. Come visit me on the website. I have lots of free goodies there for you, including sizing charts, written patterns. My Etsy shop is linked there. You can find all kinds of cool things there. So there you have it. And also don't forget, you can come say hi to me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm at The Stitch Sessions. And I'd also love it if you would tag me in any of your own creations using these little fun projects. I always love to see what my crochet friends are up to. All right, guys, that's it for now. I know that this will be a perfect add-on to maybe an ugly Christmas sweater or a Christmas cardigan if you've been following along the earlier little mini-series on how I crocheted my Christmas cardigan this year. So whatever you decide to do, I think it's gonna look super sweet, and I hope you'll have fun doing it. So happy crocheting, guys. I know we're getting really close to the holidays, so remember, try your best not to stress out. Take care of yourselves, okay? And remember, enjoy the time with your friends and family. So take good care, and then I'm gonna see you all in the next session. Bye-bye.